I'm working on a Royal Enfield 500 Electra X, and I'm in the process of changing a sprag clutch for the starter mechanism. Surprise, surprise. Um, and in this case, I've got the old one here, and it's not working. It hasn't actually sort of smashed itself to bits, but obviously something's gone wrong with the sprag bearing in there, and I guess that could be changed. They're quite expensive, as the gears are okay, but as it happens I've got another assembly all ready to go and fit. But if I were to change this, it would be very important to make sure that you get the direction of the sprag facing the right way, i.e. if the sprag bearing was tipped over the other way and fitted, it would work in reverse, and that would be no good for anyone. So that's one to keep in mind as well. I'm now going to put this one side and hopefully try and demonstrate how I fit this. Now it's important with this assembly, there we are, just to show it's working. It freewheels one way and grips the other. That's how it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to turn in both directions. Now it's important with these to get this little spindle here the right way up, because there's actually little sort of oil traps and grooves, oilways if you like, to feed this spindle. I don't know if it's possible to show it actually, but there are little holes anyway. But trust me, the end of the shaft here, the spindle, is hollow right through from end to end, so that oil can be fed to it and through it and come out via that hole there to feed the bronze bush, the sprag clutch itself, and the little needle roller bearing. And if you get that the wrong way round, what happens is the bronze bush covers the hole in the spindle and nothing gets any oil. So you need to have the spindle this way up. There's the needle race there, and if you look, you can see that the oil hole is off centre. It's not halfway along the spindle, it's closer to one end than the other, and the end that it's closest to goes on the needle bearing side of it all. So you put it together like that, and we'll just leave that there for a moment, because next up I'm going to try and demonstrate the rather fiddly process of fitting this lot. There's usually two shims, one for one end of the assembly and one for the other. And what I'm going to do, this end here is the end that goes into the casing first, and I'm just going to get a little bit of grease, I think, to help stick them in place. So just bear with me a sec. I get a bit of grease on there, stick the first shim on. There we are, I'm out of range for the camera, I think. There we are. Just stick that in place, hopefully. There it is. Bit more grease, and on with the second one. And the reason I'm doing that is because in a moment I'm going to have to tip the whole lot upside down, push the spindle almost all the way back out. I should just have room to lay this lot over and hopefully get it in position. There it is. That's in. Sometimes it can be a bit of a fiddle, the shims want to wander about, so the grease has helped sort of keep them in position. And next up, I want to be fitting this. Now this won't quite go in there now that this gear is in place, but what you can do, carefully keep the spindle held down and raise that assembly as far as it'll go, and that just about gives you some wiggle room to offer up this gear. It almost went, hang on, might take a couple of goes this. Usually I've done a couple of trial runs with this. Like I say, it's a bit of a fiddle. There we are, we're in. And the only thing I didn't do there was fit the other two shims. So we Yeah, we'll do it a second time then. Get that out. It will come out and it will go in just. Here's the other two shims that I omitted there that wouldn't have gone on once this gear was in place, so I'll just put them on now and we'll repeat the process once again. So just sort of put my fingers through here, hold the spindle down, lift the sprag clutch assembly up, and that just gives me room with a bit of twisting and wiggling and whatever. Got to try and engage the teeth, that's it, and then push the thing in, and now we're ready to put this end cover on and have a working sprag assembly, at least for now. Now I can't make any predictions as to how long that might last, but it's in good working order. All I need to do now is put all the little screws in and we should be good to go. And like I say, in the case of this failed sprag clutch here, it should probably be possible to just get another sprag bearing on its own and fit it, and then this one could be returned to working order as well, because nothing's actually got smashed or broken in there. But I'm ready to do these screws up next, and then I can put this casing back on the engine and start putting all the primary drive and so on back together, and I'll be having a look at that engine sprocket and the fit of it on the splines of the main shaft too. I have actually got another one of those in my bits and pieces. If I find it's a better fit, I might use that. But there's our sprag assembly done, and it's actually quite easy if you do everything in the right sequence and the right order, but it could be a nightmare trying to do it any other way, I would think. So anyway, I'm glad that that's all sorted and ready to go. I'll do those screws up and we'll carry on putting this lot back together.